Hi there, this is Alessandra again with another 25-minute yoga video. This video is for those who work in an office, who work mostly sedentary jobs. So areas that get tight when we work mostly sedentary jobs are the hips, frontal hip flexors, outer hips, the shoulders, the wrists. So we're going to do things for all of those areas, all in 25 minutes. So all you need for today is a strap, and it doesn't have to be a fancy yoga strap. It can be like a belt that you would use for your pants or like a robe belt, that sort of thing. So go ahead and start by laying down on your back, please, with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Just taking a couple of moments here, even though it's just a 25-minute practice, we always just take a moment to arrive and to come into our breath. So as we lie here, knees bent, and even just lying like this with the knees bent on a flat surface can start to really lengthen the spine and sort of realign and redistribute the synovial fluid along the spine. And then start to come into your breath. If you use an ujjayi breath in your practice, you can go and introduce that now. That base of the throat breath in and out through the nose. Great, and let's begin. Let's start with thread the needle. So you're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh, flex the right foot actively, and maybe you just stay here. With the right hand, you can press the right thigh away from you, start to feel that stretch in the hip area. If you want more of a stretch, then you go ahead and thread the needle. You interlace your hands behind the left thigh, picking up the left foot and bringing the knee in towards your chest. So you're reaching through that triangular space that's formed by your legs. Keep the right foot flexed, and you should feel a deeper stretch in the outer hip area. The spine is nice and long on the mat. So the shoulders aren't hunched up in order to reach for the leg. Shoulders should be relaxed down, and the spine is long. On an exhale, gently release the interlace, bringing the foot back down, uncross the legs. Let's do the other side. Flex the left foot actively, and again, maybe you just press into the left thigh, pressing that leg away from you, keeping the flex in the foot. So when the leg is bent this way, the knee is in a precarious position. We want to flex the foot so the joint is safe. If you want more, go ahead and do what you did on the first side. So bring that right knee in towards your chest. You can still think of drawing the left knee away from you, maybe even with the help of your left arm. And again, the spine is nice and long, spaciousness through the shoulders. Gently release that, bringing the foot back down, uncross the legs. Reach your right arm up and back behind you, rock to your right side. Just press yourself up to all fours. So from all fours, you're on hands and knees. Knees are under your hips, knees are hips distance. Your wrists are under your shoulders, shoulder distance, fingers are spread wide. From here, we're just gonna do a couple of wrist stretches. So to go ahead and just rock back and forth here, just getting a gentle stretch in the wrists and in the forearms. Then turn the hands out to face the sides and gently rock from side to side, getting a slightly deeper stretch in the forearms and in the wrists. Then reach those fingertips or point them back towards your knees. And if this is too big of an action, just keep your hands facing out. And this is a bigger stretch, so maybe you introduce a little bit of a rock here, but not super necessary. If you want to just be still and you feel plenty, then just be still. Then bring your hands to face forward again. And one last wrist stretch here. You're gonna come onto the back of your hand, one hand at a time, because this is a big one. So fingers are pointing back towards your knees on the right hand, and you're on the back of the hand. And I feel this more on the right hand than the left, which we're going to do in a moment. And I think that's because this is the phone hand, the texting hand, the social media hand. So bring that hand flat onto the mat again. Let's do the other side. And notice, maybe for you too, there's one side that's a little more intense than the other. And then bring those fingers to face forward. Bring your knees back a couple of inches. Curl your toes under and send your hips up and back for downward facing dog. So keep the knees bent in this first down dog. Even with the knees bent, you can start to feel a stretch along the back of the leg. Hamstrings get tight too if we sit a lot. Press through the fingers to reach your hips up and back. Think of your chest kind of reaching towards your feet. Open up the chest. Upper arms, that tricep area, wraps back towards your pinky toes. Then shift your weight forward to plank pose, top of a push-up. So you might have to adjust here because you want your shoulders over your wrists. So when I shift forward, the shoulders are beyond. Just walk the hands forward, or you can walk the feet back so shoulders align over the wrists. From here, bring the knees down, tops of the feet can hit the floor. Gently grazing the sides with your elbows, you lower down all the way to the mat. Inhale, peel your head and chest away from the mat for low cobra. Back of the neck is long. Exhale, lower down. Lift your kneecaps, legs stay active here. Inhale, peel head and chest away from the mat. Inner thighs draw up. Exhale, bring it back down. Let's hold this last one. Inhale, peel head and chest. Elbows back, shoulders back, heart reaches forward. Inner thighs draw up towards the sky. That means all 10 toes press into the mat. And then if you were to lift your hands 1 inch, you stay exactly the same because you're just using your upper back muscles here. On an exhale, bring your head and chest back down to the mat. Press yourself up onto all fours. Curl your toes under. Reach your hips up and back for downward facing dog. So already the second one, you feel a lot more space in the body. Pressing through the fingers, all 10 knuckles evenly. So with the bend in your knees, you can really feel the length in your spine, the opening in your shoulders. Maybe you start to straighten the legs, getting more of a stretch in the back of the leg. Only if the spine stays the same though. So if you feel like you're rounding a lot with the legs straight, then just take a bend in your legs again. From here, walk your hands back to meet your feet and hang in a forward fold. Taking a little bend in your knees if you're pulling on your back with the legs straight. On an inhale, come up halfway to a flat back, reach your heart forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up, reach up for the sky. And exhale, bring the hands to heart center at your chest. So with the hands at heart center at your chest, you can gently press the palms into one another, just another gentle wrist stretch here. So as you press the hands into one another, you can lift the elbows to the height of the wrists, relax the shoulders back. Great. Gently release the arms down by your sides. So now grab a hold of your strap. Going to come into a nice big shoulder opener here. And this is an exercise that you can take with you to the office. So you can either use the belt that you use for your pants at the office. You can bring a belt with you to the office, whatever works. So you're going to give yourself as much slack on this strap as you need for the shoulders, for the arms to stay straight as you come into the shoulder opener. So inhale, reach the arms up. And then you want to bring them back behind you. So maybe you give yourself more slack on that strap so the arms stay straight as you bring the arms back behind you. Give yourself as much slack as you need on that strap. Inhale, bring the arms back up. And exhale, bring the arms out in front of you again. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, gently drop them back. Nice big shoulder stretch here. Inhale, reach those arms straight up again. And exhale, bring the hands back down. 1 more like this. Inhale up. Exhale, gently drop it back. And inhale, bring it back up. And exhale, bring the arms back down in front of you. Great. You can bring the strap off to the side for the moment. Step to the front edge of your mat. Feet can come together or hips distance, whichever you prefer. Bring the hands to heart center at your chest. Inhale, circle the arms up, reach up, maybe the palms press. On an exhale, forward fold over the legs, bend the knees if you'd like. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen through the chest. Exhale, plant your hands, step just the left leg back and drop that back knee to the mat. Top of the foot can come onto the mat as well. Coming into a frontal hip stretch here. Bring the hands onto that right thigh. Gently press the thigh away from you to lift your frontal hip points and bend lower into that front leg. So the more you bend into that front leg, trying to drop the hips down and forward, the more you'll feel that stretch in the frontal hip. But we don't want to collapse in the low back. So sit bones draw down and you lift those frontal hip points. That's why we press the thigh away, just to lift the front body so the back body is long. Gently bring the hands back down. Bring your knees to meet back behind you. And let's do the other side. So step the left foot between the hands. Bend low into that front leg. Knee stays over the ankle. So walk the foot forward as much as you need so you can drop the hips as low as you can. Keeping the knee over the ankle. Feeling already that stretch in the right hip flexor. Then bring your hands onto the top of the thigh. Notice how one side might be different from the other. If you're in a place where you need to drive a lot, the right leg is constantly flexing, right hip flexor constantly moving and flexing. So right hip tends to be tighter. Again, press that thigh away from you, lift those frontal hip points, bend low. Gently bring the hands back down. Curl those back toes under, straighten the back leg. See if you can step that back leg to the front of the mat and forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen, fingertips rest on your shins or on your thighs. Exhale, forward fold again. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up, reach up. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Step your left leg back now, just about the distance it would require for the hips to be comfortably square towards the front still. So you step that left leg back. All 10 toes are pointing pretty far forward, pretty straight forward. So the back toes are at a slight angle. Those hips are comfortably square. Grab a hold of your strap again and bring it onto your right shoulder. Reach your right arm up towards the sky, left arm out to the side, and see if you can clasp your fingers back behind you, like this. And if you can't, then you have your strap. And as you find this grip, whether it's on the strap or your fingers, bring the ribs in the body, so lift your low belly. Inhale here. Maybe you stay here if you already feel a lot of sensation in the shoulder, or maybe you start to forward fold. Reaching the chest forward, spine stays long, reaching the right elbow forward. And you can pause with the spine nice and long, parallel to the mat. Press through the big toe mound of that front foot. Inner thighs draw back, right hip draws back. Inhale, bring yourself back upright. Gently release the grip that you have and step the foot forward. Let's do the other side. Bring that strap off to the left shoulder. Step the right foot back. Again, just enough so hips can still comfortably square towards the front. Your feet can be heel to heel, maybe even a little wider if you feel a little wobbly. Reach the left arm up towards the sky, right arm out to the side, and again, try to clasp your fingers. So I know for me, I can barely reach the fingers here, so I find the strap useful on this side. This is another example of sides differing one from the other. Maybe you start to forward fold if that feels okay for your shoulder. Kneecaps are lifted, both legs are straight. Hips draw back as you reach that left elbow forward. Pause with the spine parallel to the mat. Inhale, slowly bring yourself back up. Gently release the grip that you have. Step the feet up to the front edge of your mat, and you can bring the strap off to the side. Then come to the center of your mat. Bring your feet as wide as the mat. And let's come into a squat. So you can turn your toes out a little bit and just come into a squat. So if the heels come up for a moment, that's fine. We're just using this as a transition. We won't be here long. Ideally, the feet are flat on the mat. Again, we won't be here long, so if they're not touching, that's okay. Bring the hands to heart center at your chest. Arms can gently start to open up the thighs. Lift your low belly. See how long you can get in your spine. Then release the prayer hands, kind of reach the arms out in front of you as you gently bring your sit bones to the mat, or maybe not as gently, that's okay. And you're going to bring the bottoms of your feet together. So opening up the hips in a different direction now. This is Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So bring the hands to wrap around your feet. And these heels can be super close to your sit bones or they can be further out, whatever feels best for you. Lengthen through the spine. Give a little flex in your feet. See if you can relax the knees down. So as you bring that flex in your feet and lengthen through the spine, the legs release. On an exhale, maybe you start to forward fold over the legs, maybe not. On an inhale, gently bring yourself back upright and come to lay down on your back again. And from here, hug your knees in towards your chest. Cross your right leg all the way over your left. And keeping the knees in towards your chest, see if you can, with the hands, scoop the heels up so you can lift your head and chest. And see if you can grab onto your heels. So if you release the cross of your legs a little bit, that's okay. It doesn't have to be super duper cross for you to feel this. And once you have a hold of your heels, gently release the head and chest back down to the mat. So you should be feeling a stretch on the outer hip area again. And heels can be closer to your sit bones. The more you lift the shins, like kind of parallel to the mat, the more you'll feel this. So at your own discretion, you do what feels best. And gently release the feet, uncross the legs, hug the knees in towards your chest. Let's do the other side. Cross the left leg all the way over the right. Flex your feet. Go ahead and reach with the arms. You can lift the head and the chest to grab onto your heels. Again, if you release the cross of your legs a little bit and they're not really crossed at the knees, that's okay. As long as you don't feel any sensation in the knees and the feet are flexed, that's fine. Release the head back down to the mat. And the more you can press the knees in towards the chest and maybe lift the shins, the more you'll feel this. And gently release the grip of the heels. Uncross the legs, hug the knees in towards your chest. Then bring the feet flat onto the mat. So now you want the heels under the knees and the feet hips distance. So if you were to reach for your heels, you could just barely graze them, and that's usually the good distance to have for your feet from your sit bones. Arms down by your sides to start. On an inhale, go ahead and give me some robot arms. So you can actually bend the arms, fingertips point towards the sky. Press through the arms, lift up with the chest on an inhale. Lift the hips up so you're in bridge pose. So ideally you have a straight line from the shoulders to the hips to the knees. If that's not quite straight because the low back is tender, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. So you press into the arms to lift the chest up. And on an exhale, bring yourself back down vertebra by vertebra. And again, inhale, lift the hips up towards the sky. And this time, if you'd like, and if it's available, maybe you interlace the hands behind the back, scooch the flesh of your shoulders under the body and lift the chest up. Press through the arms no matter where you're at. Inner thighs draw down. Inner foot is heavy. Lift the chest up more. Release the interlace or the arms back down to the mat. Vertebra by vertebra, come back down. Great. From here, let's take a happy baby. You can grab onto the outsides of the feet from the insides of the knees. Knees can be very bent, or traditionally the heels are stacked over the knees. Then hug the knees in again. Bring the arms out to the sides. Gently drop the knees to the left, gaze towards the right. Inhale, float the knees back up, gently drop them to the right, gaze towards the left. Inhale, bring the knees back to center, release the legs out onto the mat, arms down by your sides for Shavasana, corpse pose. So you can release any controlled sense of breath that you had and just give over here. Corpse pose is a very important pose. Even though it seems like we're doing nothing, this is your opportunity to register and take in what you just did. So scan the body for anything that's holding and let it go. Maybe press the back of your head into the mat to lift your shoulders. Bring them away from the ears more and relax them down. Close the eyes, be as still as you can, and just receive. Gently start to lengthen your breath. Start to move your fingers and toes, bringing movement back to the body. Gently bring your knees in towards your chest. Reach your arms up and back. Gently rock to your side. Prop yourself up to a comfortable seat. Sitting up tall, taking one last moment here. Feeling the length in your spine, the openness in your chest and shoulders. Bring your hands to heart center at your chest. Bow your head and lift your heart. Thanking yourself for giving yourself this practice. I thank you so much for watching. Lift your head, open your eyes. Namaste.